Hello, my name is Muhammad Arif bin Ahmad Zaki, and my student ID is 2019-230196.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Hanis KAHA binti Mohd KAHARUDDIN, and my student ID is 2019-805464.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is SYAZIRA binti ZALMAN ZAIN, and my student ID is 2019-257444.
There are 5 things we need to cover for this video, which are introduction, literature review, methodology, result and discussion, and lastly, which are conclusion.
So let's begin to our research project with Chapter 1, Introduction. The first topic is background of study. The healthcare industry has been a part of the economy that provide goods and service to treat patients. It is important to the economies since it is one of the world's largest, fastest growing industry. Healthcare is still necessary for everyone, regardless what economic condition might be, because people have intensely improved the concern of their healthier lifestyle. Point number 2, the service in hospital have 2 categories, which are service capability and service configuration. Okay, for example, service capability. Service capability are number of outpatient and patient, number of personnel, and for service configuration such as bed occupancy rate, average length of stay, and so on. Why we say about service? Because in terms of service satisfaction, it will be one of the reasons why business is successful. Okay, if patient give a positive feedback, it also will give the positive successful in healthcare business. So in Malaysia, healthcare is mainly under the Ministry of Health MOH, and they have 2-tier healthcare system, which are public hospital and private hospital. Okay, public healthcare is the cheaper one compared to private healthcare, because public healthcare funded by the government. So, government provide low-cost, universal and comprehensive service. Due to the difference in treatment fees, of course, it has become one of the major issue in the treatments of the patient. Suvari et al. 2019 said that the term performance refer to an industry ability to achieve a target or goals that involves the concept of measurement. So, by achieving a high level of performance, it will increase in rising the name of the hospital, increase market share, higher return on investment, and reduce costs. As for the method Gray Relational Analysis, GRA, GRA is a non-functional model. Its calculation is natural and it does not necessitate a larger sample size, nor do the data have to fit into any statistical distribution from Suvari et al. 2019. Problem statement for this research paper are: government hospitals are always dealing with a larger number of patients, and this make it challenging to provide patient extra care. It is due to the government offer economical treatment. Second, most of the past study discussing the patient satisfaction in service capability are using the method cervical from Rahim et al. 2021. What is cervical? Cervical is a quality measurement survey, and it is easy to obtain the data because it comes from respondent only and not obtained from statistical data. The research of objective are to measure the performance of selected public hospital in Malaysia using 9 medical indicators under resource configuration and service ability. 2. To rank the public hospital, Hospital Sultanah Aminah, Hospital Melaka, Hospital Sembilan and Hospital Tengku Ampuan Rahimah using Deng's correlation degree. Third, to determine the main influencing factors for public hospital using Gray absolute correlation degree and Gray relative correlation degree.
For the significance and benefit of study, this is a guide for patients to choose the appropriate hospital for their treatment. Also, the patient may enhance their chance by study and analyze the historical and current of data. For the investor, can use this as a guideline to determine how medical indicator can be improved and help them to make productive investment in the future. This GRA approach will produce distinct outcomes since it may provide critical decision-making information.
Scope and limitation of study is conducted to determine the gray relational analysis models for resource configuration and service capability for the public hospitals in Malaysia. There is data from 4 public hospitals available, which is Hospital Sultanah Aminah, Hospital Melaka, Hospital Sembilan, and Hospital Tengku Ampuan Rahimah. These hospitals reach through the official website of the hospital and also from reports issued by the hospitals. The data used in this study are from year 2015 to 2018. Data collected in service ability are inpatients, discharge, outpatients, arrivals at specialist clinic, emergency patients, maternal patients, surgical patient, and for resource configuration are percentage of bed occupancy rate and average length of stay. There are 3 models will be presented for the literature review of this report. The first model is Dan correlation degree that comes up with the gray system theory, which was invented by a well-known scholar, Professor Dan Julong. 3 researchers also include this model that describe the degree with different factors in this same system. The second model is gray absolute correlation degree. Liu and Mu stated that it is a measurement for the absolute values of data difference between the sequence for determining correlation. This was also explained by 3 other researchers that conclude the model can be useful tool for determining the proximity of 2 variables. Lastly, the model used for the report is gray relative correlation degree, that is a measure of rate change in reference to initial sequence. There are 4 studies that also agree to the point that the accuracy and veracity of results are determined by this model.
In the methodology section where we perform dense correlation degree, there are 6 things to be done. First, the initial step is to determine the data behavior of sequence. The second step is to calculate the minimum and the maximum value from the first stage of the sequence. Then, the values must be normalized using the normalized value formula. The fourth step is to calculate the deviation of sequence by taking the value of optimal minus with the normalized of value. Next, we can calculate the gray relational coefficient. And lastly, we can calculate the gray relational grade, also named as Dan correlation degree.
Next, the methodology for gray absolute correlation degree. Firstly, create the starting point of sequence 0. And then, find the value of absolute initial summation. Followed by finding the value of absolute different initial summation and summation naught. Next, substitute the value into gray absolute formula. And lastly, ordering the correlation degree.
As you can see, this is the flow chart for method gray relative correlation degree. First step is normalize the values for each indicators from year 2015 until 2018. Next step is create starting point of 0 starting image from the normalized values. Next, find the values of absolute summation, and after that, find the values of summation minus with summation naught. For the next step, substitute the value into gray relative formula. Final step for gray relative correlation is by ordering correlation degree.
First, for the implementation of Dan correlation degree, we'll take the behavior of sequence and find the optimal value. Hence, we can find the value of minimum, maximum through the value of behavior sequence. For the normalized value, the value are from the formula given, which are the sequence minus with the minimum and divided by maximum minus with minimum. Therefore, we can get the value of the normalized value. Next, for the deviation sequence, the data come from normalized value, which are optimal value, 1 minus with the normalized value to get the value of deviation sequence. The next one, to find the value of gray correlation coefficient, we have to use the formula get from deviation sequence, which are 0.5 divided by deviation sequence plus 0.5. Hence, we can get the value gray relational coefficient by using the formula come from correlation coefficient. Lastly, we can get the value of the relational grade by taking the summation of gray relational coefficient and divided by 4. First, for the implementation of Dan correlation degree, we'll take the behavior of sequence and find the optimal value. Hence, we can find the value of minimum, maximum.
To find gray absolute correlation degree, first we determine the value of behavior sequence and find the optimal sequence. For the 0 starting image, we can find the value from behavior sequence minus with each first column. And then, for absolute initial, we can find through the value of zero starting image by using this formula. Then, we can find the value of absolute initial. For the absolute of different summation initial and summation node, we can find by using the value of the first, second, third, fourth minus with the optimal value. Therefore, we can find the absolute difference. So, by using the formula of grade absolute, we can find numerator and denominator. Then substitute with the value that we have found from summation node and summation initial. Then we can find the grade absolute. To find grade,
this is data inpatient for each hospitals. The maximum value for each year will be taken as optimal. This is minimum and maximum for every row. Then subtract both value. For normalized values, obtained from each year, subtract with the minimum value and divide the value subtraction of maximum and minimum. Next, zero starting point obtained by the formula for normalized value each year minus with the value in year 2015. Next, sum up from year 2015 to 2017 and add with half multiple with the value in year 2018 and absolute the values from the summation. Next, for obtain the absolute difference, add every inpatient hospitals and subtract with the optimal values, but for year 2018, multiply with half. Next, by following this formula, numerator values calculated by plus each absolute value with 1 for every inpatient. For denominator values, calculated from the addition of numerator and absolute difference. Lastly, for the final calculation, divide the numerator denominator to get grade relative.
For the result and discussion, we can see on my right side that the evaluating result for the Hospital Sultanah Aminah is greater than Hospital Melaka as it obtained all years for all the indicators. Moreover, Hospital Seberang Jaya is lower than the Hospital Sultanah Aminah only for one indicator, which are average length of stay with a value of 0.9406. But Hospital Sultanah Aminah is still higher 8 times compared to the Hospital Seberang Jaya. Same goes with the result for the Hospital Sultanah Aminah and the Hospital Tengku Ampuan Rahimah, because Hospital Sultanah Aminah also higher 8 times than the Hospital Tengku Ampuan Rahimah. However, Hospital Tengku Ampuan Rahimah only obtained a highest value at the indicator of emergency patient, which are 1, compared to the value of Hospital Sultanah Aminah, which are 0.9649.
the result of absolute correlation degree is Hospital Sultanah Aminah is greater than Hospital Melaka, as the value of Hospital Melaka are less than the value Hospital Sultanah Aminah. Due to the Hospital Seberang Jaya only gaining a larger value of average length of stay, 0.9680, it meant that the Hospital Sultanah Aminah is higher 8 times than the Hospital Seberang Jaya. In addition, Hospital Sultanah Aminah is also greater than Hospital Tengku Ampuan Rahimah, as the Hospital Sultanah Aminah obtained 6 higher values of indicators and the Hospital Tengku Ampuan Rahimah only obtained 3 no for the indicators of inpatient, emergency, and bed of occupancy rate.
As you can see, the table shows the result for grade relative correlation degree for public hospitals. Firstly, based on the table, Hospital Sultanah Aminah got 7/9 high value correlation degree of indicators compared to Hospital Melaka. Secondly, by comparing Hospital Sultanah Aminah with Hospital Seberang Jaya, Hospital Sultanah Aminah also got the same value for high value correlation degree of indicators, which is 7/9. Lastly, Hospital Sultanah Aminah only managed to get 4 out of 9 high value correlation degree of indicators compared to Hospital Tengku Ampuan Rahimah, which are yearly total arrived at the specialist clinic, yearly total of patient, yearly total of maternal patient, and yearly total of surgical patients. To conclude this discussion, based on the GRA evaluation of public hospital resource configuration and service capabilities, Hospital Sultanah Aminah was the best in 4 years from 2015 to 2018. Hospital Sultanah Aminah has the highest degree of correlation value for the indicators among other hospitals, followed by Hospital Tengku Ampuan Rahimah, Hospital Melaka, and Hospital Seberang Jaya. In the correlation degree method, Hospital Sultanah Aminah got the greatest value for all indicators compared to Hospital Melaka. Following that, Hospital Sultanah Aminah scored 8 high value correlation for indicators compared to Hospital Seberang Jaya and Tengku Ampuan Rahimah. The main influencing factors for public hospitals that employ grey absolute correlation degree and grey relative correlation degree are average length of stay, total arrival at specialist clinic, and maternal patients. Apart from that, as mentioned before, these public hospitals are measured in some indicators, but still, there are a lot more to be explored in order to rank the best hospitals in all aspects.